Alright, what is up? It is the 4th of December. Happy Metroid Prime 4 Day to those of you who celebrate. I certainly know what I'm gonna do today. That's right, I'm gonna play some Geonections. Also, like the past couple of days, I said that I had like a sore throat or a headache or something. That's just developed into a regular cold. I have a stuffy nose. My head is feeling very drowsy. Um, But fortunately, it's not that bad because today's puzzle was actually made by yours truly. So I know where all of these locations are. And I guess this episode's gonna be a little different because I want to discuss how I made this puzzle and like what kind of went into designing the puzzle. But yeah, this is in Germany. This is in Emden, like right on the North Sea. Like you can't really see it, but there is. Well, actually, you can. There is coast, like right over there. This is like in Las Vegas, I think, or near Las Vegas. This is in Switzerland. There is a license plate with a Euroband there, so clearly not a Swiss plate, but you can tell that it's Locam. This is Alaska. I don't remember exactly where. I think this is Skagway. Yeah, you can see the cruise ship there. That's actually kind of cool. So this is also right by the water. This is also Switzerland. Kind of cool mountainous location. This is Florida on the Bright line, I guess. I guess this is kind of famous because there's like a crazy amount of crashes and like actual like casualties on this line because people do not really respect the incoming trains. It's like people die on this line like all the time, which is kind of crazy. But anyway, fun fact: this is Plön in Schleswig-Holstein. You might have noticed that there is kind of a railway theme here. I guess this is the one where it's the hardest to spot the railway, but yeah, there's like a track right there, right on the lake, which is pretty cool. And you can see the station over here. This is in Konstanz in Germany, and the Swiss border is like right behind us. And you can also see a Swiss train here. Like, I don't know, you can't really read that it says SBB, CFF, FFS. I mean, I guess you can if you know what you're looking for. But this is a Swiss train, but we are in Germany looking at Konstanz, but very close to Switzerland, like basically like 5 meters away from Switzerland. This is also Switzerland. This is really cool because there's like a couple lines, like train lines in Switzerland where they have a tracker on the railway. I think this might be a heritage railway, but then again, I'm seeing overhead wires, so it might not be. Um, this is Lithuania, and you might notice that it says Vilnius on the sign. Like it's kind of sneaky, but that's the clue. Actually, it is very sneaky. Like if you don't have, like I have a 27-inch like 5K Retina monitor, so it's not that difficult to see on my screen. But I guess if you play on a smaller monitor, that might be kind of difficult to spot. And this is like certainly the biggest clue for Lithuania. This is also Alaska. I don't know exactly where this was. Like maybe Nick Fairview or something, or maybe it's just Fairbanks. I don't remember, but it's like somewhere, maybe Wazilla. I don't know, somewhere in Alaska. This is Lithuania. This is a location I'm very proud of. I'll talk about that in a second. That this is near the Belarusian border. And this is in Basel in Switzerland. And this is also Lithuania, kind of a nondescript location, but Lithuania is also the expert country. This is Germany and Dagebüll, also in Schleswig-Holstein, looking at the North Sea again. Pretty cool with like the old diesel train. And this is also Lithuania. Yeah, and you can also see a pole in this one there. Yeah, and that was it. Okay, so the easy one, I think, if I remember correctly, is supposed to be Germany, which are, if I can find them, these ones. Then I think medium was the US, which is, if I can find them, these ones. I think if I remember, I'm gonna check the Discord, but I think people did not solve this in order. I think they might have done the hard one first or the medium one first. Yeah, it looks like people have done the medium first and then the easy one. I'll talk about it later. I do think Germany is easier, but I mean, US is also very distinct, and this is a very easy puzzle overall. So I guess it doesn't really matter too much. And then Switzerland, we have these four. And finally, the last one is, of course, Lithuania, which I think is LT. It is. Cool. 0 mistakes. How did I do that? But yeah, I want to talk about the actual puzzle. So I wanted to make like a railway themed puzzle, like something either like with railways or with trains in it. Like this one is mostly just railways, but there are like 2 or 3 trains in it. Pretty cool. And then I had this thought that maybe I could find a Russian train in Lithuania, because in this location over here, this is actually a Russian train. It says RGD on it right there. Which, the funny thing about this is that it is obviously bait, like it is intended to be bait, but it's only bait if like you are a train nerd or if you are Russian or Belarusian and you happen to recognize the train. Because I feel like for anyone else, it's just a random train and they don't even think about it. So I checked the railway line between Kaliningrad and Belarus because like Russian trains have to go through Lithuania to get to Kaliningrad. So I was like, surely I can find something. And I checked the entire railway line, at least for like the first third of it. Like I checked every train station. I checked every single railway crossing. But ultimately, I was like, I should probably just check the train station because I think the odds of like the Google car stopping at like a random railway crossing for a train are incredibly low. So I checked all of the train stations. I also checked the old coverage. I think this one actually has a Russian train. Yeah, I think it was this one. There was one that I found very early on that has a Russian train if you check some really old coverage. I think it might have been this one. Maybe I'm thinking of a different station or different coverage. There was one that was kind of like that, where there was a train, but it was kind of hidden. Like it was behind the station building and behind a different train. So like you could only really see the Russian train if you know what you're looking for. So I was like, I can do better. I checked like some of the line, and then I kind of got lost when I got to Kaunas. I was like, where does the line even go? There are so many railway lines. So then I checked Belarus to check where exactly the train line goes into Lithuania. And then I clicked on this station and boom, I found this location from 2012. And it's exactly what I was looking for. Like there's a Russian train here. It doesn't really look like Russia, but there's the train there. Which I thought was excellent bait. Like this made me so happy because the rules for Geonections, like for making a puzzle, say that there's not really supposed to be any bait, like try to avoid bait. But I think this is like the right kind of bait because it's only bait for like a small percentage of people. Like most people are going to ignore this. But when you really think about the train, it might trip you up. Unless you remember that this railway link to Kaliningrad exists, which explains a lot. And that, I guess, if you know about that, that is also another clue to solving this, to figuring out that it is indeed Lithuania. And then I was like, okay, maybe I could do something where, like, in every single country, there's some kind of variety where we have different, like, modes of transportation. Maybe there's like a proper railway. Maybe we'll do a tram. Maybe we do some kind of metro or something like that. And then I looked at some Lithuanian cities to find a tram, only to find out that there's not a single tram system in Lithuania, unless there's one in, like, some random small city that I didn't look at. But yeah, it looks like there's not a single tram in Lithuania, which really surprised me because Vilnius isn't even small. Like I was thinking like a city with the size of Vilnius would probably have a tram, but it doesn't. So I just looked for some like random locations. There was one that got removed. I need to look at this again because I ended up, there's one location that got removed. That was this one. This was in the original version. Like, obviously, this was one of the first things that I looked at. But this got removed because Andrew was like, okay, maybe the Lithuania is a lot more difficult than the other three countries, so maybe there should be like a more obvious clue in it. So I looked for a different location, and I found this one that had like a sneaky pole in it. So that's what we went with. And like generally, like my goal was to find locations that I can like kind of pan weirdly that still contain like some information. This one is kind of nondescript, but at least it gives you an idea of like the kind of coverage, the kind of architecture you might see, the season of the coverage or whatever. The reason why it needed to be panned, there was actually two reasons. Like the first reason was because of the map theme or the puzzle theme, I suppose, which is that I wanted at least the majority of the locations to kind of look like a normal GeoGuessr round, except the railway is the road, like you're looking down the railway. So essentially it is skewed, but you are looking down the railway. And the other reason was because you have to do that in Geonections because of the road names. So like you can't see it in GeoGuessr and in the map making app, but when you look at any location on Google Maps, you see that there is a road name there, and that will show up in Geonections. And like that is one of the main reasons why like most locations in Geonections are panned kind of weirdly, or just straight up skewed, or like zoomed kind of weirdly. It is mainly done to avoid the road names, and also to make it more difficult, of course. But yeah, we try to avoid road names. There is like a trick you can use to avoid the road names, which is that terminus locations won't have any. So like if you click on the end of a road, like this one, for example, if you look at this on Google Maps, you'll see that there's no road name. So that's like what you can do to find more normal locations. But obviously these like railway related locations will always be like in the middle of a road where the Google car drove over the railway, which is why like most of these are kind of skewed. I thought this bridge location was kind of cool because it's like a different kind of view. But the main location that I'm very happy with is this one because it says Vilnius right there. And in my original draft of this, we actually had this kind of view, which is arguably a lot more difficult because I saw this. I was like, well, that's kind of cool. But I thought it would maybe make it a little bit too easy, honestly. So I was like, they'll figure it out, surely. So I included a view like something like this, which is like pretty nondescript, I'll be honest, especially because you have the trees like covering half of the view. And then Andrew was like, nah, like the puzzle's easy, but the Lithuania is like way too hard, so maybe include like some kind of clue. Then I was like, if you move one step, you can find the sign that says Vilnius. So yeah, I ended up including this. Also, I think there's a flag there, but you can hardly see it. Like, I don't think you can see it. Where is it? No, it's like so impossible to see. Like, you can only see the red. But yeah, this is a really cool location because it's so sneaky. Like, the clue is right there. Like, obviously, I think getting Lithuania is not hard. Like, it might be some kind of Baltic roulette where you might send Latvia or something. But, yeah, we ended up with this location and then also the other one. Like, this one wasn't in my original draft. But yeah, pretty cool. Definitely the expert country because it's by far, like... I mean, it's not hard, but it's not as obvious as the other three. And then after that, I was like, okay, a lot of countries on Earth have railways. Which one am I going to include? And then when I thought of cool railways, like, I immediately thought of Switzerland. Like, obviously, Switzerland is famous for its railways. And I thought you could get some, like, really cool views with, like, mountains and, like, trains or, like, railways in a valley, like, next to some really sick mountains. And then I also remembered that there is this, like, really sick tracker on a railway, and I was like, okay, this has to go into the puzzle because it's so cool. And then I looked for some other locations. I found this one that I really enjoyed because of the license plate. I was like, maybe someone's gonna send Austria because of that. Probably not, but there is a chance. But yeah, it's also just some really sick landscape. And then I was like, okay, you know what? Switzerland has other types of railways, and it has trams. Now, trams obviously technically not railways, depending on how you define it. Are trams trains? Like, endless debate. But yeah, I was like, okay, there are some trams in Switzerland. So I looked at Geneva and Basel. And I actually, like, in my original draft, I had like 10 different locations in Geneva and Basel. I ended up picking this one because it also has like a little bit of language. It has a name. Well, it has some words there as well. And it is Gen 3. We love Gen 3. I think Gen 3 always gets a bit underrepresented in Geonections. Maybe it doesn't. But yeah, I thought like having an urban one to contrast the more rural ones would be kind of cool. There were like many like kind of similar locations. There was also another one that I thought was kind of cool where you had tram tracks but not a train. But I was like, you know what, if I have the option to include a tram, I will do that. And then I was like, what country am I going to do next? And then I thought of Alaska. For multiple reasons. The first reason is I thought, okay, Alaska has some pretty epic mountains. And I was like, maybe I could find some kind of location where people might send Switzerland on Alaska or like group them incorrectly together, which I think actually happened if I look at some of the scores on... Yeah, it looks like someone did mix them up, which is pretty cool because that was intended. And also like Alaska has some like really sick heritage railways. Like it has two railway lines. It has the one that roughly goes from Anchorage to Fairbanks, and it has another one that goes from Skagway to somewhere in the Yukon. It doesn't go all the way to Whitehorse. Like I don't know exactly where it ends. Like maybe Carcross. I don't know exactly where it ends. But yeah, like both of those are mainly like touristy railway lines. But yeah, I thought I could get some cool locations here. I actually originally had like 5 or 6 or 7 locations in Alaska. Finding locations wasn't like super easy because obviously I used the terminus trick. So maybe find some locations. Some of them were kind of very generic. I thought this one was cool with the autumn colors. There were some other ones that were more generic. I ended up sending this one because I thought the colors made it stand out more. I tried to find the railway stations in Anchorage and Fairbanks. They're actually kind of hard to find because they are not labeled correctly. They are actually just POIs. Also, the one in Fairbanks is not visible on Street View. Well, I mean, you can see the front and it's shitcam, which is just lovely. But you cannot see the other side, which is kind of tough. You can actually see a train here. Like, I thought about including something like this with the train. But I didn't want to include the shitcam. Maybe I should have. But yeah, you can't really see it from the other. Well, this is Gen 1. That's just lovely. And like the situation in Anchorage is like basically the same, where you can see the front. You can see the other side. You can see the platform, but it is, I think, where was it? It was here. Maybe you can't see the other side. Yeah, you can see the front. And then I think you might be able to see the other side, but it's like Gen 1 only. Or maybe I'm thinking of... No, I am thinking of Fairbanks, yeah. So yeah, that's kind of tough. I thought I would rather include the actual railways than like the station buildings. So I had quite a few. Unfortunately, I didn't save the draft. Like I could show you some alternate locations that almost made it in. Maybe I saved the JSON somewhere, but I don't remember. But it doesn't really matter. Like... I don't know, there was some like, yeah, random railway crossings that also weren't very special, to be honest. Like, it was just a generic Alaska location that happened to have a railway in it. But then I was like, you know, I mean, this one is very cool. The Skagway is very sick because, I mean, we have the cruise ship and the mountains, so that's really cool. You can actually see the station in Skagway as well. Like, there is coverage, and you can see it. Like I thought about including this, which is kind of dope, but I thought that would kind of make it too easy. It says Alaska on this side. We have the old like heritage train there, which is kind of cool. So like something like this almost made it in. Like I mean, I think this would have been a really cool alternate location. Maybe I should have included that. But I think the one with the cruise ship is also like really cool. Like to be honest, when I looked at this today, I forgot there was a cruise ship here. But I think this is so cool because like you might not even spot that, but then when you see it, you're like, what the heck is that ship doing there? But yeah, then I was like, you know, the US is such a diverse country. Maybe I'll include some other landscapes. And then I immediately thought of Brightline because that is one of the more successful railway operators. Like it is a line that I know exists and that I know gets some like services quite often. So I clicked around the line. I looked for some proper like railway crossings. I found this one, which is like very obviously Florida. So I was like, and like obviously the US with like these massive trucks. So I was like, yeah, sure, that'll get in. And then I decided to look on the other side of the country. I think I looked around like California somewhere, and then I decided to check Las Vegas. And I found this one with like the really cool like sunset. And I thought like because of the sun, this location had to go in here. And also some typical US infrastructure. So like maybe US should have been the easy country, but I think the Germany is a lot easier. So like ultimately I was like, what's the fourth country gonna be? I decided to do Germany because I know German railways better than the railways of other countries. I have made a GeoGuessr map of all German railway stations that are on Street View. And by the way, I need to update this map because like the coverage keeps getting overwritten with like unofficial coverage, and there's like I think quite a lot of photospheres and ARI on this map, so I really need to update the entire map. I'll probably do that in 2026, but yeah. This map is still pretty cool, but mainly because of making that map, I know where I could find some cool locations, and I thought the main purpose of this was to find cool locations, and not to make it like difficult or anything like that. So I know that there are quite a few stations like right next to the water where there's like an interchange with like some kind of ferry, or maybe even the option to load your car onto a ferry, which I think you can do here at like Emden Außenhafen. Or maybe you can't. There are definitely some stations like that. Like you used to be able to do that in Puttgarden, where the train would go on the ferry, but it doesn't exist anymore. Now they go the long way around via the Danish mainland. But yeah, that's pretty cool. And then I remembered, okay, I can check maybe Dagebüll Mole, because that's another station like right next to the water. And I found this like really cool location with like the incoming train. Especially because it's like an old diesel train. It's like not something you see very often. Also, it says Nibel Dagebüll on there. Like, I don't know like how well you can read that in NMPZ. Where's Germany? But, like, if you can... No, you can't really read that. But, like, it's obviously Germany. Like, we have a German sign here. Someone on the server actually said that they sent Belgium on this because they thought this flag looked like the Belgian flag. And I guess Strand might also be a Dutch word. Like, Strand means beach in German. But I think it might be the same in Dutch. But yeah, really cool location, I think. Also with the Watt here. Like, really sick location. Like, this is one of my favorite locations in the puzzle. And then I thought of Plön, right? Because the station in Plön is right on the lake, which is so cool. Like, this location is also on this map, like, if you happen to find it. It's so cool because the station is right next to Lake Plön. Like, you are essentially looking at the lake when you're waiting on the platform. Like, you can... Like, it's kind of difficult to see the station in this one. Also, like, another thing that I've noticed is that for some reason, every time I export a map in the map making app and I import it to GeoGuessr, it gets zoomed a little bit like this. And this also happened with Geonections, because you can't... where is it? You can't really see the sign properly. But, like, originally in my map making app, it looked like this. Like, you were able to see a lot more. And I clicked on save the zoom level, so I don't know why it got zoomed in, but that's how it is. Yeah, I think this is so cool with the view of the lake. It might be like a bit tricky at first to spot the railway because it's kind of hidden. It's like a single track, like not electrified line. But yeah, with the infrastructure, you can definitely tell that it is a train station. And it's so cool with the lake view, right? And then, like, I didn't originally intend for that to be this kind of theme of stations right next to the water, but it just kind of happened. And then I was like, okay, maybe I can check the other side of the country, because the cities like Konstanz and Lindau, where you have a station like on an island, like right next to the water, like Lake Konstanz, which is so cool. But unfortunately, like Lindau Insel doesn't have coverage. I think I also checked Friedrichshafen, but in Friedrichshafen, I think the station is not next to the water. Yeah, you can see the front. It just looks like any other train station. You can't even see anything that makes it stand out. It's just nothing. I think I checked Konstanz as well, but it's like a similar issue because like the station is right next to the water again, which is so cool. But you can't really see it, unfortunately. Which is kind of unlucky. Like I think I checked this entire road. Yeah, I looked at this as well. Like this is a cool location. But, like, I don't know, maybe I'll include this in the future. But also there's the Swiss train there. But yeah, you can't see the water, even though it's right there. So I didn't include this, even though that's such a sick location. And then I looked around a little bit, and then I remembered that originally I was looking at, like, railway crossings. I looked at this. I was like, maybe this has something. It had a Swiss train. I was like, yeah, this is good, right? Because we also have Switzerland. So maybe someone will recognize the Swiss train and maybe they'll send to Switzerland on this. So I was like, all right, put that in the map. Yeah, and that was it. So what I'm trying to do with my puzzles is that, like, I want there to be some kind of similarities between the countries. So, like, we have the mountains in Switzerland and Alaska. And, like, I was checking Switzerland for a location that kind of maybe looked like Alaska. I think this one I added after I added Alaska, because I was checking like lots of mountainous regions in Switzerland looking for like a Gen 3 mountainous location. I ended up sending this one, which like doesn't look like Alaska, but it's similar enough. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll put that in there. I also tried to pan it so that you can't see the locam, but I don't know if that was successful. And then I guess another common theme is that like you have the German language in Germany and Switzerland. Which you can see on the German signs and also the tram in Switzerland. And I guess you also have the Europe roulette with Lithuania. But I think the Lithuania is probably distinct enough. So yeah, that's pretty cool, ain't it? Yeah, regarding the difficulty, I thought Germany was definitely the easiest because we clearly have German signs, like German infrastructure here. I thought that was like a giveaway. And then, like, the US, obviously also very distinct. But I thought this might be a bit trickier for, like, non-GeoGuessr players, like lower-level players, because it is more diverse. So I think it is, like, less likely for people to think that, like, this and this is the same country if you're not that good at the game. So I thought this was probably more difficult than the Germany, but I don't know. Maybe the fact that people sold the US before Germany doesn't necessarily mean that it's harder, but that's just how it ended up. Like, to be fair, I've only seen like 2 people's summaries, I guess. Switzerland, also not very hard, but we do have the Euroband bait there. Also, I guess people might send like Germany, like not knowing that Germany is Gen 4 only. Like, I don't actually know how many people look at camera generations, because I remember even Andrew told me that he kind of forgets about camera generations sometimes, because there was one a couple weeks ago where Ukraine was the expert one, but there were only like 4 Gen 3 locations in the puzzle, and obviously all of them were Ukraine. Like, even if you don't know what Ukraine looks like, if you know that Ukraine has Gen 3, it's so easy because it can literally only be those 4, but I feel like the average person probably doesn't really look at camera generation, so maybe people might think this is Germany, or they might, yeah, I don't know. Maybe they sent the wrong country in this, like, who knows? Yeah, and then Lithuania, definitely the hardest one because it's kind of nondescript. Like, you have this one with the Vilnius, you have this one with the sneaky pole. Besides that, it's kind of Baltic roulette. If you know where your Russian trains are going, then you might know that this is definitely Lithuania and never Latvia or Estonia. But I guess that's not so obvious to average people. I think in hindsight, I could have also looked for more Soviet-looking countries, looking locations in Lithuania. I think this, like, if I found some other Soviet-looking locations and I had like this one, like maybe people might send Russia on that. I think there is a universe where someone might send Russia on this. Like, probably not. I mean, maybe. It is kind of wintry, kind of gray and cold looking, so maybe. But yeah, like with this one and this one, that's not. I mean, this could be Russia technically. Maybe. I'm genuinely curious. I mean, does Lithuania have normal gauge? Because Russia has like a wider gauge than Western European countries. So maybe you can like measure how wide the tracks are. I think. I mean, considering Lithuania as an ex-Soviet country, it might also have like wide gauge or whatever the heck it's called. But yeah, kind of sneaky Vilnius. I'm quite happy with it. This is, I mean, if you looked at this, you might notice that it says Geonections 2. It's not the first one that I made. The first one that I made was deemed a lot more difficult. And I will say it is definitely a lot more difficult than this one. So that one got scheduled for Saturday, the 13th. So you might need to wait a little bit. But yeah, it's coming up. And then I guess there's going to be another long episode soon. I guess the Saturday episodes are always kind of long. But yeah, that was cool. Hope you enjoyed the puzzle. The only thing that I'm kind of not mad about, but one thing that's kind of sad is that we don't really want this to be repetitive. And I'm like, there's so many cool like railway related locations. Like maybe I'll make a sequel to this at some point with other countries. But yeah, it's probably not going to happen anytime soon. But yeah, I'm definitely going to make more themed puzzles of some variety. Maybe there will be another one like this at some point. But yeah, see you tomorrow. Alright, also the moment I clicked on stop recording, I realized that I hadn't played the daily challenge yet, which means I'm going to have to edit this, which is just lovely. I'm going to play some urban roulette. It is no moving. No, it is NPC, of course it is. Okay, I mean... My first thought was Philippines, but I guess it can be Indonesia. I'm gonna send... Wait, hang on. Did that? No. I thought this was some text of some sort. I'm gonna send Manila on this. It's gonna be like Jakarta, right? Yep. Everyone knows it's there, of course. Oh, this is fun. I want to say I remember seeing a location like this in some like Rainbow Daily Challenge, maybe. I don't remember what town it was, I'll be honest. Maybe you go like... Maybe you go like Kazan? I don't know, it can be just Moscow, right? I'm gonna go Kazan. Boom! Get in! Maybe that was a repeat, I don't know. Here, I wanna go something like Santarém or Manaus or maybe Belém or something, because it does feel kind of Amazonian. I mean, maybe I'm gonna go Manaus, maybe. I mean, close enough, I guess. Okay, this is Gen 2, right? Yeah. It's like weirdly zoomed in. But okay. Okay, I mean, my first thought was something like Belgium, maybe. And I'm thinking, I guess it could be like Poland, something like that, maybe. I can't really place these buildings, especially because it's so zoomed in. Maybe I go Belgium on this. I'm gonna go Belgium. I'll go like, I don't know. I don't think it's Brussels. I'm gonna go Ghent. Okay, Bergen, sure. Not a country I named, and this one is... I thought maybe this is like Mexico near the US border, like maybe you go Tijuana or Mexicali or something, or Mexicali, or other mountain south, I mean, surely. It is Chile. It does look like the sun is south, right? Do I go Chile on this? No. 11.5? I mean, not terrible, I'll be honest. Like, I thought Indonesia for the first ones. Maybe I could have picked up some points by sending Indonesia. Was this the actual urban roulette? Yeah, it was. Okay. Yeah. I mean, not bad. Also, another thing, like, between recordings, I was just informed that someone also sent Russia on this because of the sign, and that's actually so true. Like, I thought about that while I was recording this. I was like, wait a second, isn't that also bait? But I didn't want to say it because I wasn't, like, actually, like, 100% sure if there was some kind of difference. But yeah, there you go. That's actually really sick. All right, see you tomorrow.